Okay, let me know if you all can see it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So today we have a very, very special event and a very special guest. We're joined by Nadia Viera. She's Portuguese, but as she already said in the chat, she's now based in Dublin, Ireland. And she's the Global Community Program Manager at LinkedIn. And today she's going to talk to us a little bit about how she's running a global community program at LinkedIn, what she's doing to measure her initiatives, make sure that she's keeping her metrics up to date, how she's collaborating with other internal teams, and how she's actually scaling the program inside the company and at a global scale. So first and foremost, hello everyone, welcome. I'm acting as Jimmy Fallon, but I honestly can't see your face because I just have one screen. So imagine that I'm saying hi to all of you. We're super excited to have you here. This is our third online event right now, and I think we're getting the gist of it right now. I think it's becoming more and more natural. So for all of you that are joining here today, some of you may know what CMX Connect is, some of you may not, but basically CMX Connect is a global program dedicated to community managers to get together in these local meetups and share insights, get to know each other, and basically learn with each other's feedback, each other's experience, and each other's insights. The CMX Connect program has 3 major goals, and hopefully you will be able to get out of this event these 3 little things. So the first one is, as the name says it, we want to help you connect. So if you are able to meet one awesome person or establish a rapport with at least one person via chat or via the networking at the end, then we consider it already a win, just because you were already able to get to know another community manager. Additionally, we want you to get something out of this event. So we want you to learn something new that you can either take back to your work, or you can either add to your experience, or something that you want to try out with your community programs that you never thought of. So hopefully, and from what we saw from Nadia's presentation already, you will be able to get much more than just one thing that you'll learn today. And finally, as the community industry is growing, we still need to advocate and evangelize what we're doing, the impact that we can have in our business and in our companies, and the power that community managers actually have when it comes to getting people, communities, teams together and showing the value that they can have when put together to do more, basically. So, So we have a couple of guidelines, code of conduct, desired behavior, whatever you want to call it, for these events. One of them is make sure your camera is turned on. We've seen a couple of comments in the chat that some of you are introvert. That's fine. We just want you to be comfortable and enjoy the event as much as you can. But if you don't mind, just leave your camera on. My hair is all nasty today. I've already had calls in my pajamas, so nobody's going to judge you. This is a safe space. We just want to see your face and actually feel like this is as much as an in-person event as we can. Also, be sure to be present. I speak against myself because I'm always checking either Slack or my email, or I'm on Instagram on my phone. But this event is going to be an hour long tops. So just make sure that you try as much as you can to stay here and be present. Additionally, for us not to interrupt Nadia while she's giving her presentation, please make sure to use the chat box to ask questions, leave your comments. We'll be moderating the questions. And at the end, we're going to ask Nadia herself. And at the time, if you want to jump in, you can jump in as you wish. And finally, because we're not at a super cool venue that has wine, beer, and chips, feel free to go and have a quick run to the kitchen, grab a beer, a bottle or a glass of wine, and some snacks, and come back quickly to catch the beginning of the session. So we have a special surprise that we're gonna leave until the end, but we're giving a giveaway. So I'm just giving you a little sneak peek of what it is, but be sure to stay until the end so we can draft this special prize. And none of this would be possible without Bevy. So Bevy is CMX's mother company, and they are this fantastic event management tool. They're literally conquering the community event space by having software that enables managing dozens of groups at the same time. And it's actually the event management that CMX uses, of course, to manage these CMX Connects meetups. So if you're looking for an event management software, be sure to check it out. Finally, without further ado, let's just quickly take a Zoom picture just to make sure that we catch everyone while we're still all super excited. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. It's time to turn on your cameras, look as awesome as you can. I'm gonna, and is putting the flag in the picture. Okay, just getting my hair done. Okay, awesome. And cheese. Perfecto. Okay, so without further ado, let's give a silent virtual round of applause for Nadia Viera.
Well, I think maybe in the end, if you like the presentation, let's not jump out of things. So let me just share my screen, and then we can start. So just 1 second. Do you guys see it? Just to double check that everything is working.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here today, and I hopefully you'll be able to learn something, as Andrea was saying in the beginning, and you'll be able to take something with you and apply it into your community program. But then again, in the end, feel free to ask me anything, any questions, or add me at LinkedIn after this session, and I'll be more than happy to connect with you after this as well. So let me just move to the agenda and talk and show you a little bit of what are the things that I'm going to cover today. So first of all, we're going to look at the strategy. So how can we define a strategy that will help us to manage and scale a global community program? Then we're going to look at how on KPIs and measurement, like Andrea said as well in the beginning. So we're going to look how can we measure if our community program is being successful. Then I think it's really important to talk about like collaborating and aligning with internal teams. I think we definitely need to do that. I couldn't be successful on my own. So I need my sales teams, my marketing teams, my product teams, all of them to support us going forward further as well. Then the fourth point is really, I think like this is a really interesting question. Like how do we prove the importance of the community internally to our business as well? And then lastly, before we go to Q&A, I'm going to show you just like a couple of things that we're doing in our community to support our members through COVID-19, which has been top of mind for all of us, I would say. But before I do that, I'm just going to introduce myself. And for example, I think it was Rose, you probably recognize the second picture, which is the temple bar. So, but I'm going to go to the first. So first of all, my background is marketing, but before that, my bachelor is journalism. And I always thought that I would be a journalist one day until suddenly I finished my bachelor's and I was like, I'm not so sure I want to do it. So I'm just going to align communications with marketing, do a master's degree. And then after that, I'm going to go into marketing, which was what I did. And then I worked as a marketing specialist. And then I ended up being a marketing manager. And then suddenly I moved to Ireland for looking for more opportunities, kind of like trying to have like an experience abroad and see like what Ireland could offer me. And so far so good. I'm really happy, cannot complain. So Rose, I can see you smiling. And then again, I've been living in Ireland for the last 2.5 years, close to 3 years. Temple Bar is really great. So if you've never been there, I strongly recommend you to, first of all, come to Ireland once things are better. And then second of all, definitely go to Temple Bar. But just go inside, sit. If you don't want to spend a lot of money, you can have a beer, like probably a cheaper beer somewhere else because pubs are great everywhere in Dublin and Ireland. And then the third picture is my team. So what you're seeing here, we weren't in India. This picture was actually taken in our last sales kickoff last year. This was the global event we had, but my team, actually, we are a global team. So most of us are based in Dublin, and then others are in San Francisco. And then we have someone in Canada and also in LATAM, so in Brazil. It's been incredible. LinkedIn is a great company, and I couldn't be more grateful to work for a company like this and to actually be in this role. I do love my role as a community manager, so you'll see me talking about this, and you will, I think you'll be able to see my passion for this role as well. And now, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my community program manager, but before I do, I'd like to always say that I'm not managing any social media or anything like that. What I manage is a private community platform. So all the members that actually join our community, they are our customers. So they're using Sales Navigator, and they're joining this platform because they want to know more about Sales Nav. They want to get to know other people using it and learn from their experiences and become actually proficient users of that specific platform. So it's a little bit different from what I was doing when I started in marketing. I was managing community management, but more for like social media and all of that. And now it's a private platform, which is kind of like a forum, but we bring people into the platform, and then we engage with them once they're there. So how do you do this? I think it's the first time that I'm doing it like in a specific platform, and it's a little bit different, but so that's why I think I was trying to think of like, what are the things that I could share that are working with us. So this is just a little bit of that. So for example, I think before we do anything, I think it's important to understand that for you to manage a global community program, you have to oversee three main pillars. And the three main pillars that we have here are how can you build a strategy. So before you jump into things, you need to have a strategy. You need to set up a strategy that will allow you to actually build a successful platform. Then once you do that, then you're ready to understand how can you moderate your community. What do you need to do to make sure that your customers and your users know that you're there for them. And then lastly, once you nail down the first two, you're ready to scale your community and to actually support your customers at a global scale. So when we look at the first one in terms of like building a strategy, this is kind of like not even step one, it's a step zero. Like this is, you need to be able to understand what is the purpose of your community? What are you trying to achieve if you want to have a specific platform like this? Because if you cannot answer this question, then you shouldn't be doing it. Maybe you shouldn't be spending money building a community in the first place. And how do you do it? So I was thinking how we did it for our community, for our LinkedIn sales community. So I'm just like sharing here a little bit of the things that we did. So first things first, I think it's really important to define the scope of your community. So what are the main goals for your community? What are you trying to achieve? And in order for you to be able to know that, I think you can find that out by answering a couple of questions. So for example, what is the unique value of your community? What are you trying to bring to the business that it's not there? And how can you do that over a long period of time? Then secondly, how will you meet your customer needs? For example, what is this community? What will it do? Are you trying to get your customers and share with them product education so that they know more about how to use a product or how to use a service? Are you trying to offer them a platform where they can get peer validation? So for example, they want to know more about how others are using it and they want to improve how they're doing it as well. Are you trying to have this platform because you think that it will be the best place to share product updates, or are you just looking for a platform to offer them networking opportunities where they can just improve their own personal brand and just like talk to other people and peers who are experiencing the same challenges or situations? So there are a lot of needs that you can solve by building a community. So I think you need to just like find your own needs, and they don't need to be the same. I'm going to share in a minute what our needs are for LinkedIn Sales Nav community, so then you can see which will be the ones for you. Then I think also like thinking about what is the business value that the community is bringing to your organization, to your company. For example, will this community be the voice of customer? Do you want this platform to be the place where customers will go and share their feedback, let you know what they'd like to see in the product or what they want to see in the future product implementation? So if this is the case, then you can position your community like that. Or would you want this community to be a place that will help your support team with cases deflection? So this means that your support team will have less cases that will be sent to them, and you can take care of a couple of those cases by answering people in community. And then after all, I think, how will you measure? So there's a lot of things that you can do, but you always need to understand what your KPIs and your measurements will be. Like, this is crucial, and you need to nail it down from the beginning. And then after that, once you know exactly what your goals are and what are the needs that you're meeting from customers and how you're helping your organization, then you can think of like actually setting up a growth and engagement strategy. So here you can actually understand what do you need to do to build a successful community. So for example, you can define your growth strategies. And what I mean with growth is, how will you get your customers in? Are you getting them in through onboarding emails? Are you getting them in through your sales teams because they're promoting it to customers, or your customer success or your account team, they're talking to customers about this specific platform? So it's really important to understand how you will get those customers in. Then secondly, I think you can only do this one once you nail down acquisition, is how can you make sure that they'll engage with you, and just bear in mind that if they're not there, they're not going to engage with you. So like, first step, definitely try to understand how they're going to get there. So in terms of engagement, will you have badges? Will you have rewards? Are you having some competitions? What type of engagement activities do you think will work best? And bear in mind that maybe you do something today and it works, but then after a while it doesn't work anymore. So I think community management is always like on the go, and you need to update it on a monthly basis and even like yearly basis, depending on your customer base as well. And then the last one, it works really well for us in terms of like, we do want to understand how many accounts we have in our community. And for example, this could be how many users. So out of your total number of accounts, how many of them are in community and how many of them do you want to have? I think this is really important, because this will also impact the strategies that you'll implement over time as well with us. Okay. Then second, so once you actually understand the strategy, you can think of ways of moderating your community. So how exactly you will engage with your customers, because the way you engage with them determines if they're going to come back or not. So I think this is really, really important. A couple of the things we do to support our members in our community, and the things we do to support our members and moderate the community, they're related to our goals. So they're entirely related to the needs that we're trying to solve and to the business value that we're trying to bring as well. So in this case, the 5 that I have here today, they definitely relate to our business goals. So for example, what we do is we answer their questions. So we allow in this community our customers to come in and ask her any questions they might have, try to talk to us about any issues that they might have. And then by doing that, we also encourage right behaviors and best practices. And we do this, for example, we have a lot of customers that come to us and they might be, oh, I'm using this feature, I'm not sure if this is the right thing that I should do. And if it's not, then we are very honest with them, and we tell them like, that's not the best use case that you could give to that specific feature or to this product. Why don't you try A, or why don't you try B? And sometimes our third suggestion is when we introduce them to another community member and we say, look, maybe person A did it in the past and they had the same challenge, and now they were able to fix that. So introducing them and allowing them to network with each other, that's really important. And I think that's like key in moderating. So moderating is not only answering it, it's making sure that you're the right person, connecting all of them so that they know that they can talk to one another, and maybe like in their second interaction they can tag those people, because they know that that's the way it works in this community. And then post new content, we definitely use this community for us to post new content and exclusive content for this specific audience. So the content that they find in community, they cannot find that anywhere. And we do it because sometimes when we are reading through comments, we have members saying, I'd love to know more about this specific matter or this subject. If we pick something like that, we're going to implement that into our content. We do have a content plan as well for what we're sharing in community. And we know, okay, we need to do a post on this, or we need to start a thread on this topic because we have customers talking about it. So it's really important to pay attention on what they're asking so that you can then implement your content strategy. And then the last one, it's based on a product feature that we have in our community. So in our community, we have an ideas page. So it's called like ideation. So our customers can come in and suggest new features. So they can come in and let us know, I'm using this, but it's not working. We're missing this, we're missing that. Or maybe if we add something like this, that could work best. This is one of my favorite features for our community because I think it works really well. Customers really like to know that you're listening to them. And second of all, they really like to know when we implement something that they suggested initially. So this is also something that we do. We let them know when new features are coming and they were suggested in community in the first place. So really interesting to moderate communities. And then when it comes to scaling, I think, and this is really important, and for us, our community is a global community. So we have customers from all over the globe. So there are a couple of things that you could do to make sure that you're meeting all customer needs. And I think, Fernando, you were saying like the needs that you have from like in LATAM, they might be different from the needs from a customer needs in another region. So we need to bear that in mind and offer them different places in community where they can talk to their peers that might be having the same challenges as they have. So for that, there are a couple of things that you could do. So in terms of strategy, in terms of platform, what we do and what we did in our community was we try to offer them a localized, like a translated experience. So Sales Navigator offers them 6 additional languages besides English. So what we did in our community is we localize our platform. So if you have your sales nav in French, the moment you log into community, you're going to see community interface in French as well. So we're trying to offer them that localized experience to make sure that they feel welcome, and they're also encouraged to participate and share their questions. And that's why having the localized interface for us was life-changing, and they really appreciate it. Then also on localization, we have localized user groups. So for those 6 additional languages that we have one specific user group. And then that user group has moderators. And the moderators, they're only sharing content in those languages. They share specific articles, decks, everything that is shared in that specific group is in that language. So for example, our Italian group is one of the most successful groups that we have because the moderators are doing an incredible job. And also the audience, they really like to talk. And they're comfortable doing it in their own native language. So if you understand that, then they're gonna more likely share in their own native language group rather than in the community. So if we're not offering that space for them, then we're missing out. We're missing that customer base that it probably is not as comfortable as sharing in English as they are in their own native language. So our user groups are definitely really important as well. And then we also have some live sessions. So for example, and sticking with the Italian group, they did a community roundtable, and I'm going to talk a little bit in the networking piece of our community roundtables, but they did one, and it was really, really good. Like we had a lot of Italian customers joining, and because we were talking to 2 other Italian customers and kind of like having a normal conversation, it was really, really interesting, and we're definitely going to do more in the future. And then with groups, so not only we have those user localized groups, but we also try to offer them other places where they can foster broader interactions with their peers. So for example, for us, industry groups have been working really well. Regional groups, so for example, we have regional groups for UKI, so all customers that are from that region, they can just join the UK and Ireland, sorry. And they can join that specific group and talk to each other. And this is good because we all know that in terms of, especially now with COVID-19, regional groups are more important than ever because each region has their own restrictions, has their own policies. So being able to talk to your customers in a specific group is really important as well. And then we did a couple of, I think we did like 1 or 2 live user groups in the past. We're trying to do more, and we were trying to do more before this, the COVID pandemic started. Right now we're pausing on that and we're doing more virtual events. So we'll see in the future when things are better and we can do some live events. And then the last one, it's kind of like the basis of this community is like networking. So I think part of like scaling is allowing customers from all over the globe to talk to each other. So not only we have the groups for localized for people who speak the same language, we have groups for people who are from the same region or within the same or work within the same industry. But I think it's also really important to offer them opportunities where they can just like talk to each other independent of where they're from or their background or anything like that. And a couple of the things we did was we have community live sessions. So we have 2 types. So one of them are the member roundtables where we usually have 1 or 2 customers who are speaking. And the way it works is like a conversation. So I'm there moderating the conversation, just asking them a few questions, and then they're sharing their own experience. It's one of my favorite events because it's so informal and people are so honest about things that it just like feels very natural to be there and to learn from them as well. And I always feel that I'm kind of like their friend, because we're just like having a normal chat. And then we do fireside chats, and those are more, we also do them with customers, but we do them more with like product team, customer success. And the way we do it is a more like educational best practices way. So for example, if we're talking to the product team, we have a specific topic, and then we want them to share, how do you think customers should be using this? What are your top tips that will help our customers to actually use this better? And that's also like really good. Customers love to talk to our product team, and product is always like one of the most famous teams for us as well. Then we also highlight a couple of members. We have monthly member spotlights where we call out members who are doing something successful or who have been engaging in community lately. And then something that was organized recently by one of our most engaged members was a members hangout where we just join and just like talk to each other. It was very casual as well. We had no topics, but the member who organized it, he had everything planned, and I think he's going to organize more. So more to come on that end as well. Okay, so once you do all of that, then you're ready to like start thinking about how can you measure success. And I think this is really important because, as I'm saying here, if you want your program to be successful, you need to be able to measure how growth is going, how engagement is going as well. And I think step 1 for this here is how can you grow your community? How can you expect to grow your members if you don't have them there? And this is like crucial, like the first step is to grow. And I said it in the beginning. And the way you can measure that, there's different ways. I'm just sharing here a couple of the things that we measure for us in terms of growth. In terms of total members, what we do is that we set up an annual or a quarterly goal based on the total number of current and potential customers. So we know exactly in the beginning of the quarter and then in the beginning of the new fiscal year, how many customers we want to have in community that are new. And then we do the same for net new members. So not only the total member, but we also want to know how many of new members are we getting each quarter, each month. And we do this, and it's something that it works really well with us, is we kind of change. Of course, like I start the year with saying I want to have X number of new members, or I want to have X total number. But if we're going more, which has been our case, then we usually adapt a little bit. We readjust just to make sure that it's realistic, because if we're going, it's because we're doing something right. So we also need to be realistic about our KPIs, and we need to tell our management that, okay, I think we can do more. And I think they'll be happy if you tell them that you can do more. And then with account penetration is the same. So for example, this also depends on the total number of accounts that your business has. So for example, if there's like churn, if there's growth, this can also be impacted. I usually say that it's very difficult to get to 100% of account penetration. That's like the dream. So I usually say, like, if you're up to between 80 or 90, that's like incredible. Or even if you're like 50%, if you think of it, like if you have 50% of all your accounts of all your users, if you're talking about a user level, that's incredible if you have 50% of them there. And then you just need to continue to work for more. But I think if things go well, if businesses are growing, then the more customers you get, the more members you'll have in your community. So I think that's why we need to work together with sales and product and all those teams that are customer facing as well. And then, so once you do that, then you can focus on engagement and what do we need to do in terms of like, how can we make sure that our customers are engaging with us and all of that. But in terms of engagement, there are a couple of things that we measure to know exactly, and this is more like a metric that will let you know if you're doing the right things. So for example, engagement strategies, like I mentioned, when you're building your strategy, could be like, I want to implement a badge system. I want to implement rewards, or I want to run a competition, or I want to actually host events. Okay, you do all of that, but how do you know if that's actually working? You know that if you are, you know if it's working, if you are increasing your average sessions, if you are increasing your contributions. So if you're not increasing that, that means probably that what you're doing for engagement is not necessarily what the audience you're working with really wants to have. So it's not a bad thing, because it will allow you to understand, okay, what do we need to do different? And as I said in the beginning, what you're doing today could be different, and maybe it works today, but it's not going to work tomorrow. It depends. Your customers' needs can change over time, and I think that's why community engagement strategies change over time as well. And then for this, so we do measure average sessions. I like to know exactly how many members we're getting every month as well. And then we do the same for contributions. Contributions, I'm talking about new posts and comments and new comments. I'm not counting likes, because a like, it's not necessarily, it's very easy to do. You just like something. If you contribute, it's because you're adding value. So adding value means you're creating new things, you're adding new content to community. So I think it's really important for you to track that as well. And then for us, because we do have ideas, we track how many total ideas we have on a monthly basis, because, and I can tell you that it increases every month. It's like ever since we started, and we launched the community without ideas. Idea launched like a year or so after. And I think in comparison to contributions, it's like very close to, we get as many contributions and as many ideas, which is great as well. And then internal alignment. So this is something I think for me, it's really, really important. Like we cannot do this alone. And I need to say this because it's so important to be backed up by your sales and your product teams and your customer success teams. I'm actually I'm part of a customer success team. So I'm not in product or marketing. So I'm part of a customer success. So my customer success team is incredible, and they help us a lot with promoting community to their customers as well. But what I want to show you is a little bit of our structure and how our community, our LinkedIn Sales Nav community, delivers customer health and internal business value. So I think it's and I'm going to break it by like boxes and colors. So if we start with the green one, what I'm showing you here is exactly what our community is offering. So these are the different things that we're doing to support our customer needs and to support case deflection, to support our teams internally. So the green things that we do is, for example, with industry best practices, that's what our customers are looking for. So we share new posts. We do a lot of things to make sure that our customers know exactly how they should use our product. We offer them Q&A opportunities, so they can definitely join this community to share, you know, I'm having this issue, I'm having a challenge, or it could be, I'm doing something and it's working. So definitely they can use the Q&A as they want to. We also create unique content, as I said in the beginning. So they find content here, and the events we do, it's only for community members. So we try to be very specific about that. You cannot find this anywhere. And this is really important, because this is unique value for you, you know, in your business as well. Ideas, as I mentioned, like having an ideas page for us, it has been life-changing and our customers love it. And then product champions. And product champion is, for example, an engaged community member. Over time, they will become a product expert. They'll know exactly, okay, this is everything you should do. And I usually say this internally, like, what is more impactful? If you are a customer and you ask a question and Nadia, I answer you, or a member X answers you, who will you listen more? the customer, because he's not being paid to say this, you know, like he's actually saying it because he believes that's the right thing to do. And maybe I also believe that's the right thing to do, but I'm LinkedIn, you know, I'm the company and I'm representing the company. So it's always more impactful. And I'm not saying that what I'm saying, it's not important. It is. But if you are a customer, it's more impactful if you have one of your peers telling you that, okay, they did it, you know, this is how they fixed it. And I think this is really important, and product champions can help you do that as well. And by doing all of this, we're meeting our customer needs. So we're making sure that our product, that our team, that our customers get educated about the product. We're sharing with them product updates. So for example, with our product, we have new features coming out every quarter. So we share them in community. We'll let them know what is changing, what is coming. And then they also come to this community for peer validation. So as I was saying, like if you are a member and you're having a challenge and you come to this community and you ask something, you want to get validation. You want to know if you're doing the right thing. And that's why you're actually coming to this community in the first place, because you want to know, okay, is there something that I'm missing? If there is, then I'll be able to find that out in this community. And by doing that, you'll get inspired. And that's why peer inspiration is really important, because this will allow you to, if you are inspired by others, it's because you want to do more, you want to be better. So we want our customers to always be better and do more, because if they're doing that, it means that they're healthy and they're not going to churn. And then some customers are also in these communities to be looking for personal branding. You know, they want to show themselves as experts. They want to do that. So I think we need to allow them to do that, you know, to grow within our community and to show to others that they are great and great product champions. And I think by doing all of this, we are driving customer health, which is our end goal. We want to make sure that our customers are healthy and that they're going to stick with us until the end. And I think communities have like a key place, and they can definitely help with customer health. And then on the other side, and I'm going to try to be brief on this side, it's that with communities and the way we support our businesses internally is that we are supporting our teams to have less cases. So for example, if you are a support team and you get, like, imagine you would have 50 people reaching out to you. If you can, half of them, if you can redirect them through community, and that half can get their questions answered in the community, that means that only 50%, so 25 of them will go to support. So we're helping with case deflection. And I think this is really important if you can find a way to prove that as well internally. And then this will increase our team's productivity. So they will spend less time dealing with customers, you know, because customers are self-sufficient. So if customers are self-sufficient, then they can just kind of like look for the answers, try to find what they're looking for. Of course, there's always questions that we cannot help them with if it's like technical or something like that, but we know who could help them with that. So we just redirect them to the right place. And then of course, the voice of customer. I think all companies want to have a platform where they can listen to their customers and know exactly what customers are saying and what they'd like to have. And to do all of this, we work with our internal teams. So as I said in the beginning, so we work with customer marketing, sales, product marketing. So our product team loves our ideas. So we work with them very closely to make sure that we review all new ideas that are coming to community. And then and then the product team lets us know, okay, these ideas will be part of the product on, you know, quarter X or quarter Z. And then we tell our customers, we go to them and we say, look, thank you so much. The idea that you suggested, it's now part of the product. And that small gesture of just like letting them know that it will be a reality, it's like they love it. So that's why I say it's one of my favorite ones. And then now in terms of like, and proving the value for your community, I think this is definitely important. And the way we do it, for example, is we try to relate how our community program is driving growth and renewal. So for example, we want to know exactly how many accounts or how many users who are in the community, are they growing more and are they churning less than accounts and users who are not in community. And usually you'll see that there's a correlation there. You'll see that community members, they tend to be healthier customers because they spend more time trying to learn about the product. And if you're trying to learn more about the product, that means that you are healthier. You are not, and you probably won't churn because you want to know better. You want to apply it better. And then when it comes to engagement of our customers, I think you can also prove the value through that. So for example, our community community members using more of the product? If do you have, and I know that this could be very technical and you probably need to be like build APIs that will allow you to measure this, but can you measure, can you know if all your community members, are they using more of the product? Are they using it every day? These correlations will help you prove how your community is impacting in a good way your business and allowing your customers to grow as well. And then the last slide before we move to Q&A, and I think, Fernando, you asked me to talk a little bit about this, and I think it's really important because this is impacting all of us right now at a global scale. So when COVID hit us in the beginning, we thought, okay, we need to do something. We need to support our members because, and also because our platform, so Sales Nav, is virtual selling. So our customers were using it already. They were using a platform to try to build their prospecting, to relate to their customers and to close more deals. So I think this was a really good platform for them, not that they were working from home and they couldn't meet their customers face to face. So what we did was we tried to show them that, first of all, we're here for you. And because you already have the platform, we're just going to show you how you can leverage it better, even better than you using it. And the way we did it, and the first thing we did was, and we still have it. So as you see here, our support our members during COVID, with this banner, it wasn't here. So we added this banner in the when COVID started, and it's still there. And I think we're still going to leave it for a while because it's calling out, the banner is calling out a couple of the most important things that we want our customers to know about. So they ask the community. So if they have questions, this is where they should go. Then we created a working from home tile. So this is a new topic. We didn't have the working from home topic. And as you see here in this third picture, it was featured at the top. It's not anymore. We removed it a couple of weeks ago because we changed a little bit of the design, but the topic is still there. So anyone who's trying to find conversations, discussions on working from home, they can just like go to this topic and find and read everything and just like share anything that they'd like to add here. And then what we did as well was because we already had our community live sessions, we did a special edition on COVID-19. So we had I think in total we had 4 sessions. And then I'm showing you here just one we did with our sales teams. And the main goal of this session is we wanted our sales teams to share with their customers how they were reaching out to their customers. How are you doing it? How are you being mindful of what's happening all over the world? And how are you showing your customers first that you're there for them? And only secondly, you're trying to renew or sell or whatever your sales activity is. So we had our customers, our own team saying that, and it was really, really interesting. And then I think the last thing that we are still doing it is we're creating new content. So we're trying to create new posts or drive like discussions. So we did one last week, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, around, so when was the beginning of the quarter? We asked them, so now that this is a new quarter, what are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? Would love to hear from you. We know that what's happening all over the world. So we'd really now more than ever like to hear from your experience. So yeah, I think these are a couple of the things we did. And I think you can't miss things like COVID-19. So if you're not addressing them, I think you're missing out, and your customers will feel that something is strange and something is kind of odd because you're not talking about it. So not talking about it's not the solution. It's finding the best way to address important topics like this one here. And I think that's it from my side. So I'm going to maybe stop sharing.
That was awesome, Nadia. So good.
Thank you.
We have one question in the chat, but I'm pretty sure we'll have much more because during the entire session, I saw multiple people at the same time just nodding and saying, yes, Nadia, yes, yes. So let me just kick it off. N had a question, which is, how do you map and expand to new regions, and how do you define priorities?
So how do I expand to new regions in terms of like opening the community or opening new groups or doing something like that? Is it? Yeah.
Yes.
So for our community is open to everyone. So for example, if you are from like LATAM or if you're Namer, you will have access to this community. With the localized groups we created them because we felt that there was a need. We felt, okay, I think customers are asking for this. Our sales teams and our customer success teams, they were asking for that. So we created them. And then the other regional groups, I usually only create them if I get a question from one customer, that's not going to build a business case for me to create a group. I need to have multiple customers asking for the same thing, because then I know that it's actually a desire and that's something that they really want to have. And I try to talk to our internal teams, our sales teams, and get their perspective on that. Like I try to talk to them, for example, the Italian team. So do you think having an Italian group will be successful? Do you think that the Italian segment will be an audience will actually engage and come? So I think and trying to have a balance between your customers asking for it and also your internal teams being able to support you as well, especially if you don't speak the language. If you don't speak the language, you need to have someone that will act as a moderator like I have. I speak Portuguese and English, and I'm not even interacting in the Portuguese group we have because I want to make sure that our moderators are self-sufficient and they're doing it. So I think that's important. In terms of priorities, I think we prioritize according to our business. So what I do on a yearly basis is I look at their business goals and what they're trying to achieve. And then I see, okay, where can community solve these issues? Where can we add value? And then I'm going to build my priorities based on that. So I think, okay, community can add value here, here, and here. What are the activities that I need to do to be able to solve those issues, so that will then impact our business goals overall. So I think overall, like, you need to think of like a bigger picture,
Cool. Nadia?
Yeah, we have a question from Rose. I was just checking if she was going to unmute herself, but I can ask it for you if you want, Rose. So Rose would like to hear more about how you're enabling input into ideation for the community members.
Okay, so how does it work in terms of like getting that and then following up with product? Is it?
Any and all information is welcome.
Okay.
But the specifics on how you're actually structuring their input, all of it.
So the way it works, I'm going to try and give you like a full picture of it. So in our community, we have an integration with the ideation platform that our product team uses. So what is happening is that all the ideas that are actually uploaded in community will go straight to their dashboard. And that's easier because that means that the product team doesn't need to check ideas in two places. So I think that's like half of the work done. So if you're able to make sure that, and I think it might be difficult to do something like that, but this integration will solve a lot of communication and like interaction with the product. So the way we do it is that every time a customer shares an idea, we ask them to add a category. So they will add a category, and that category is mapped to a specific product manager. So product managers, they take care of different categories. So this will go into their own dashboard, and that product manager can see all the ideas that were shared in the community that relate to the categories that they're owners of. And then what I do is on a weekly basis, I go through all the ideas and I tag the PM just to make the product manager, just to make sure that, okay, are you seeing this one? We usually talk a lot in private comments. So the platform we use allows you to leave private comments. So I usually talk to them like, is this something that you're thinking of? Or if I see something, okay, this is unlikely to be implemented, I just like leave a comment and I ask them, is it fair to say that you're not going to do this in the future? And then I think this is really good because it allows the product manager to be more responsive as well. They know that you're reaching out to them, and they know that you're seeing all the ideas on a weekly basis. So you're pretty much on top of things, and they're also pretty much on top of things. But then I think it's also really important to meet with them on a quarterly, monthly basis, depending on the amount of ideas you get, just to make sure that they will let you know what things are they working on, and if those things that they're working on is what impact the ideas that were shared, because then part of your second task is to go to your community, go to the ideas page and tag all the ideas to the specific status. So you can say this is planned, this is shipped, this is going to be implemented in, you know, Q2 or Q3. So I think there's it seems, when I talk about it, it seems easy, but it's a little bit complex process because it involves a lot of different stakeholders. But I would say key is to have your product manager, your product team involved. And if they bought the idea, so if they bought the product, if they can see that there's value of having an ideas page, and they get good feedback from there, then you have half of the work done.
Amazing. And just one really quick question. Do you try and reward the community members for just inputting an idea in the first place? Obviously you're going to let them know if it's implemented, but
I think so. We do have a badge for feedback, but because we do have a lot of ideas, and the integration doesn't allow us to give a specific badge every time they log an idea. We don't do it at the moment. But every time they share X amount of ideas, we give them a badge. And then of course the ones that do have ideas that are become part of the product, we give them a specific badge, like product ideation, something like that. And we also send them some swag. So we send them like a notebook or something to let them know, to kind of like thank them for doing it.
awesome. And sorry, one more question.
No,
Is that automated with the initial badges, or are all of those badges automated in your system, Nadia?
Half of them are. So we have mission badges. The mission badges are automated. So basically you set up on the, like in the backhand, you tell them a member does X, Y, and Z, they get badge Y1 or something like that. And then we have other badges that we can give to members if we want to. For example, I don't know how many we have less of those, but if I'm talking to someone and I feel that they shared something or they did something that was really good for us, we can also have the option to give them a special badge.
Thank you so much.
Oh, one special badge.
You have to be using Sales Nav if you want to, and then join the community.
I will. Any other questions, guys?
Well, I actually
Here.
have one.
Oh, you can
No,
say,
but-
Andre.
No, go ahead.
Go.
Okay.
Ask him.
Mine is not particularly the most clever question one can ask, but I'm really curious. When you talked about the localized communities that you're building, I kind of started wondering, how do you balance between the community goals that you set up for general communities, you know? But I imagine that localized communities start growing in their own ways, into their own formats, right? How do you keep a balance that makes sense for the original strategy that you set up? And do you actually implement localized feedback into your products, or you do it in a general way?
First of all, no, all questions are clever, so you don't need to say that. And that's actually a really good question. So I do have a specific strategy for those 6 localized groups. So for example, I meet with them on a monthly basis, and then we have a monthly report where we look at like the number of comments we have for those specific groups. We look at the number of posts. So some of them are more successful than others. And also you need to have like different strategies for each one of them because they are from different regions. And for example, that impacts a lot, you know, like something that works for Brazil won't work probably for Germany. So you need to build that strategy and make sure that you are thinking of that when you're putting it together. But of course, when you think of community overall, I think you need to think of like, okay, this is my community strategy, but part of our community strategy is to support those specific audiences that speak different languages. So I think having a separate strategy for that, but making sure that it's included in the overall community strategy. And I can't remember the last question, or if I answered all.
No, the last question was about the feedback that users give to your products. So if you're doing localized communities, how does that impact your product in the end? Because you're developing as you get feedback, right?
Yeah, so basically the ideation, so the ideas page, it's only in English. So I forgot to mention that. So it's only in English because of the product managers. So all product managers, they speak English. We did had in the past like a couple of them that were like in Germany or like Spanish. And what I do is I translate them, Google Translator or whatever, if I don't speak the language. And I share the translation with our product managers. So I'm making sure that they still are getting that idea and that they're still considering it and adding into the pipeline if they can. But the ideation page is only in English because it's easier for them and for us as well to manage.
Nice. Hi, Nadia. Thank you.
Hi.
My doubt is when you have an alignment of interest between the members and the managers of the community, and you set a network effect strategy to the growth. Do you think it is nice to share the goals to the members of the community to encourage them to get when you have this alignment of interest?
I think so. Yeah. So what I usually do when I sometimes join like customer calls and I'm presenting, if we get a customer and they want a community presentation, I join and I present the community. I tell them exactly what the community is for. And what I'm telling that the community is for is I can say it's peer-to-peer interaction, is to get ideas. So I'm very honest about this is what we as a business are trying to get out of this community, because that will impact how they're using it. So I think you need to be, of course, like in terms of like KPIs and measurements, you don't need to tell them that. But in terms of like how this community is built, it's based on their customer needs. So I think it's always important to be transparent about that with them as well.
And in case that the KPI affects directly to the way that the member of the community gets the benefit in the community. So we are here and we have a big alignment of interest, and I say you like, I want to get a huge number of new members, because this growth will affect the way that all of us will use the community. Do you think in this case the KPI could be shared?
Yeah, so I think I usually tell them how many members we have. Like I start, if I'm joining one of those calls, I don't think I share any post with like total number of members or anything like that. But if I'm joining a call and I'm talking to them about community, the first thing I said is, by joining this community, you'll be joining X number of peers who are using the same platform as you are. And so this means that your opportunity to talk to peers will be actually bigger. So the more members we'll have, the more that opportunity will grow. So definitely, I think if you have the number and you want to share it with them, if the number is good, that's another reason for them to join. Yeah, definitely.
Coolio. So thank you so much, Nadia, by the way. This is fantastic. I literally learned more than just one thing. So hopefully, Rose is super excited. Rose is pumped. Thank you so much for this. We're super excited. We got a lot of information out of this session. This was awesome. And Nadia was super nervous in the beginning. She was like, oops, maybe I'll take like 20 minutes. So we were like, nope, nobody takes 20 minutes. But it was such a good session. Okay, so without further ado, it's raffle time. So for the folks in the call who don't know what the Community MBA is, and let me just share my screen again. The Community MBA is a program that CMX built with every and any need to know resource, strategy, document about community. It's totaling right now, I believe, in the value of $500. And today we're going to raffle one for free. So we're going to do the raffle live. Please bear with me. It's the most ridiculous wheel that we could find, but it's a fun one, and we're going to do it live. You can see it, right? Can you see it spinning? Okay. So 3, 2, 1. Oh, damn.
Olha, da próxima vez eu vou colocar uma musiquinha enquanto ela
Speak in
gira.
English. Speak in
Next
English.
time,
Peão do
sorry.
baú, galera. Peão do baú.
Whee!
Oh my gosh.
No.
Congratulations,
I feel so
Jennifer.
bad too because my boyfriend and I share such a small space and my camera wasn't on. So I've been listening this entire time though. But wow, yay!
Yay! We'll reach out to you with all the details. Congratulations.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Cool, cool, cool. Awesome. So to finish the event, make sure that we're still connected. I know that, well, we all know that right now the community is global, but the CMX workspace allows for everyone to join every channel. So feel free to join the CMX Portugal specific channel if you want to keep in touch and know when we'll have future events. And thank you, Bella, for the most incredible gift and very adequate to today's times. See you soon, and hope you had a great time at the event.